Today we're going to do a comparison video for you guys with one of our competitors' boxes and our Shoreline box here. So I'm going to cover a few things in here, but the top 6 that we're going to cover is recirculation flap, no bolt in the bottom or no nut in the bottom, studs versus no studs, welded versus riveted, stainless steel quality, built here in-house in Holland, Michigan. Got another stainless steel box that has kind of shown itself in the market here a little bit. We've had a few questions about it, so let's get started with this. Fan cover, pretty much the same. The gasket is on the outside of this one, where ours is on the inside. We do have the additional gasket on the bottom here, whereas they do not. So the other thing on this one is 22 gauge versus ours is 18 gauge, so a little bit stronger on ours. Weight difference is a little bit heavier, but heavier weight, more quality. So that's the fan cover. Next we'll get started on the internal baffle plate and blower fan assembly here. Very similar fan. On the back side, very similar again. The only thing that I really noticed right off the top of the bat was there was no place to mount the freeze switch. We've got the studs mounted right there for the freeze switch, so that's all ready to go for you. The other thing on that is there's no hole for the capillary tube to drop down into the evaporator for you. They did throw in their little accessory kit, some extensions for their standoffs for your recirculation door motor. We've got ours welded right on. There are some trucks that use the air operated door, so you won't use these studs, but they're there if you need them. If you use the air operated, it's not going to affect you. So that's the internal baffle plate. And then we'll switch over to the front cover here. Lower bottom cover. So the first major thing that I noticed in the differences in the lower covers here is the gasket material. So we've got a gasket that covers all the way over, and then your expansion valve or your evaporator core tubes come right through here, and then they go out there. So that's all nice and sealed up. That one's wide open. The other thing is on the back side here, we have 2 standoffs that hold against your evaporator core on the inside, keeps everything pushed inside nice and tight. They only have the one on this side here. The other thing is steel fasteners. They're selling a stainless steel box, but they still have some steel fasteners in it. Everything on ours is 100% stainless steel. We do not use anything steel on ours. There might be a little bit of steel in the fan, but other than that, everything on our box is 100% stainless steel. On the outside here, they still have their tab out here to mount that on, so not a ton of difference there, but we still have the material gauge thickness, 22 gauge, 18 gauge. Moving over to the box, this is where I noticed a lot of difference. So we'll start right on the back side here on the bottom. So you'll notice we have a drip pan mounted right to the bottom here with a tube that comes off of it. They do not. They do have some insulation on the bottom of theirs. We don't, but we didn't find it necessary to do that because the factory did not have insulation on the bottom of theirs, so we didn't find that necessary. Again, material gauge thickness is 18 gauge, 22 gauge. You can hear the difference. So on the bottom here, you'll notice we have a hole right here in our gasket set. On the back side, there's actually a nut welded on there. That is one of the mounting bolts for this box. And you'll notice they completely missed that on theirs. There's no hole, no nut, no nothing. This one was damaged in shipping, being 18 or 22 gauge. It does bend pretty easy. I can show you that in just a second, but just wanted to touch base on a few more things here. Back on the bottom, you'll notice we have the studs here for our wiring harnesses, and I believe there's some hose clamps that hold up the heater core hoses and stuff on there. And then we'll switch to the side over here. We've got these studs right here. So basically what happens with that is there are some trucks that use a receiver dryer on there that mounts right on these studs here, so we include a new stainless bracket for that. They don't even have the studs on theirs to mount that to, let alone a bracket. On the lower one, there's some fan switches that mount on right here on these M6 studs. They don't have those either. On the front side, we've got our bottom studs already welded in for you. We did not weld the top studs in just to make it a little bit easier for you. When you go to install your new box, it's easier to slip the bolt through the back side right here, put the nut on the inside. On the recirculation door flap, you'll notice there's pops right out of there. There's no holes right along the top. Ours comes with the new flap, just like the factory. We actually buy this from Kenworth, and it's already mounted. If you buy a Dash 2, it's already mounted right in these holes right here. We've got our gasket on the front. Our gasket material is a little bit thicker. We modeled our gaskets directly after the factory gaskets, so it's the same material, same thickness, same everything. Next thing I wanted to point out is right here on the top, the step, is there's a hole here for your wiring harness to go through, but they didn't put a grommet or anything in there. So after time with vibrations in your trucks and stuff, it's going to chafe those wires and you're going to have a short in the wiring system. Whereas we have the same hole, but we have a grommet in there. And then the gasket on ours is a lot thicker as well, which is the same thickness as the factory. Theirs is real thin, only about 1/4 inch. Then going to this side here, not much difference on this side. It's the same hole pattern and everything for the plastic shroud that mounts on the side there. But you can see the material difference here. We're 18 gauge, they're 22. And then on the inside, not a ton of difference. Just this one little piece right here is the air door recirculation actuator. They don't have that in theirs. There are two main differences between these two boxes. The first is the material makeup. I want to preface this with I am by no means a metallurgist, but we have access to an X-ray spectrograph. As you can see between these two pictures of the screen of the machine, the X-ray machine recognized our material as 304 stainless steel, which is in fact what we use. The machine did not recognize or match their material to any known stainless material. The two main elements that make stainless steel stainless are chromium and nickel. Theirs has 13.5% chromium and 1.22% nickel. Ours has 18.03% chromium and 8% nickel, which makes our material more resistant to corrosion.
Alright guys, so one more thing that we decided to do is we decided to do a salt bath, and as you can see here in these tubs, we've got the Shoreline box on this side. You can see a little bit of surface rust there that kind of, rubs right off. This is pretty heavy salt solution, so this is probably more than what you're ever going to see like in your truck, but we just wanted to speed up the process to really show you guys. So as you can see here, I'll mix the Shoreline one up, and you can see that there's really no rust or contamination or anything in there. We've got some oxygen bubblers basically out of a fish tank in here. We've got the exact same amount of salt in this box as we do in the competitor's box here, and you can see we've got rust here on the surface up here. All the aluminum rivets are starting to corrode off if they haven't already. You can see I just popped the head off of that rivet there, so that one's gone. All of the gaskets have fallen off from being in the water. So, you guys' trucks out there with the air conditioning running, they're going to be basically exposed to a lot of the moisture and stuff like that just from your air conditioning. So you can see that gasket just fell right off. So, but now I'll mix this up here. So, because over time the rust kind of all settled down to the bottom. You can see there's another gasket popping to the top there. So you can see now how rusty that water is. And I'll reach back in here, pull the box back out. And some of it looks pretty decent yet. You can see on the top where it's introduced to more oxygen is, that's where you're going to get the rust. But the aluminum is just really taking a beating on there. So my suspicion is that the rust is coming from some of the steel fasteners down inside there. So some of the steel riv nuts and stuff like that in there. So just wanted to show you guys this. We'll follow up with this on a full video later on.
The main difference between these two boxes, right here. You can take this thing, I can twist it, I can fold it, it bends. It's 22 gauge material. That's what's going to happen. Here's our box. You can't, I can twist it a little bit, but 18 gauge material, 22 gauge material, all the riveted pieces in here. The top piece, as you can see, isn't even welded in. Riveted, crimped, no hole in the bottom, but again, you guys can feel free to stop by our shop here, right here in Holland, Michigan. Give us a call, we'll give you the address, and if you want to buy it today, click the link in the description below, take you right to our website. We've got these things in stock ready to ship. Otherwise, feel free to give us a call if you got any questions. Thanks, guys.